We have a little bit of a different meeting today because we're supposed to have installation of officers. And our program chairman, Siobhan, who's also on our board, was in charge. And her dad fell just a little bit ago. So I had to dash over and get the snacks and the water. And she's not going to be here. But I'll leave it up to you. Do you want to do that first, or do you want to hear our wonderful speaker first?
Speaker.
I think the speaker. Okay, so it is, again, Siobhan is usually the one who introduces our speaker, so it's up to me. This is Giovanni Simi. He is now president of the Rural Museum. And I have to say, I knew his mom. Didn't know him, but I knew his mom, and she was a delightful lady. She was involved with the Poppy Reserve and with the Wildflower Preservation Foundation. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Giovanni. Do you want to use that one or this one?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Well, the reason I'm wearing the mask is I found out an hour ago that I've been exposed to COVID the other day, so I haven't even been able to test, so I just want you to be aware of that. My name is Giovanni Simi. I am an East Side kid. I grew up at in between 50th and 60th Street East and Avenue High. We had my parents, my dad had Simi Brothers Ranch, and it was established in 1936, I believe, at the 50th and I location. And he was, my grandfather was originally a farmer and a produce man came over to San Francisco and started produce there, and then moved down to Santa Ana. And if you know where what they call the Miracle Mile is in Santa Ana, that was my grandfather's farm. Unfortunately, he didn't sell it in the 60s when he could have made billions on it, but that's where he started, and he raised produce. Let's see. I grew up, went to East Side Elementary School, went to Antelope Valley High School, graduated in '73. I knew my wife in high school, but we weren't dating at the time. And then in 1981, we were married, so 41 years of blissful marriage, yes. We have 2 kids, Tyler and Shannon. They both are in town, and we have 5 grandkids now. My daughter just had a new baby. So enough about me. Our museum, the Antelope Valley Rural Museum, started with the Rural Olympics. Bill Rollins, Dave Pickus, Jeff, several of us got together and we're talking about we need to preserve the records of the Rural Olympics. And it started out as a small exhibit with basically about 100 square feet. And it was just the Rural Olympics records. And then we decided that seemed to be very popular. And we decided that maybe we ought to work on a museum. So we started out in our first museum exhibit was in a trailer. And it showed the Rural Olympics Hall of Fame. It was backed by the Livestock Arena. And showed the Rural Olympics Hall of Fame and a few other photographs that were just around, mainly regarding the Rural Olympics. And then we started, hey, I've got this. And it has grown. Right now we're building a new building. We're in the farm and garden building, and we are absolutely filled up, and that's 6,000 square feet. We will have 10,000 square feet with the new building of space to show, and we've already got that filled up. one of the things that we've really enjoyed is people like you with the Kern Historical Society that bring in artifacts to us, and we put them in our area specific things, like we have things for the Air Force Base, we have things from the Indian Museum, and just various places around the valley. We always like more stuff, and we just keep cramming things in there. What we would like to do with people like you is have a display case that has artifacts from this area, and we've got a lot already. We built our little Burton's Mine outside the museum. It's right off to the side of the museum, and we built it out of gunny sacks and milk bottles, and then stiffened it up with stucco and everything else. And a lot of people say it looks pretty real. The black widow spiders that live inside it seem to think it's pretty real too. So we haven't had any rattlesnakes, but we got a pet squirrel living in there, and in the mine. It's always amusing how the museum works. During the concerts at the fair, we tend to have low people coming in to the very few people coming in. Now this Poppy Festival, there were times you couldn't walk into the museum, and there was a line outside of it today over this last Poppy Festival / fair. People didn't know about the museum, didn't know anything that it was even there. And we've got a lot of new people that sign up for our newsletter, which I brought some paperwork today, that if anybody isn't on our newsletter list, please sign up for it. It's absolutely one of the best newsletters I've ever seen for a museum. I get the Reagan Library newsletter, and ours, I believe, is better than the Reagan Library newsletter. So, and that's all because of Dale DeBry and her research and everything else. And Dale is the Lancaster Cemetery manager. So she does an outstanding job with that newsletter and just about everything she does. So anyway, few of the things that we do have, we have a library at the museum, and we have several local books. Bears, Borax and Gold, Love and Gold, P-38 Lightning books, Burton's Tropico Gold Mine and Mill, Railroading Through AB, Mojave Desert, Edwards Air Force Base, Palmdale Through Time, Lancaster Through Time, and the Lancaster Through Time was authored by 4 of our board of directors, Bill Rawlins, Carl
Peterson.
Carl Peterson, Dale, and who's the other person? There was Norma Gerba was the 4th one. They did an outstanding job. What they did was they found pictures of various people, various places, and took the picture now and then had the old picture too. So it shows 2 pages open up, and you've got the old picture and the new picture. And it was really, really interesting to see what had been done on Lancaster Boulevard, and it was mainly just about Lancaster Boulevard and a few other places slightly off, which was the main part of town for a long time. Those things were just And they did an amazing job of research. Some of the stuff they found out, you know, about the tunnels under all over the place in Lancaster and those kind of things were really interesting. Some people say they were bootleg tunnels. Other people claim they were just places to put the prisoners without having them in jail. Those kind of things. It's interesting, all the stories that get put out by not knowing the facts and just kind of like our current news all the time. So anyway, the new museum has been about a 12-year project. We started, this museum started, the words got started way back when with Mary Masari, Pat Newhart, Pickus's, probably the Godys, and other people that said, we need to build a museum, we need to build a museum. Well, when we did this Hall of Fame thing, we said, hey, we need to build a museum. So we went about it. Our original deal was if we raised $50,000, the fair would build us a building. Well, we've raised well over $500,000, and we're still building the building. I think if we built it when we first started, we could have got away with $500,000, but with the cost of steel, materials, concrete, labor, which a lot of it's been donated, we're over $1.2 million now to build a museum. So if anybody wants to build a museum, put that little fact in your head, because it's tough. Even if you get an old building, a lot of the museum issues, if you want to bring in, you know, we keep finding out information. If you want to bring in other displays, they want air conditioning, they want climate control, they want humidity control, they want all of this stuff that has to go on. And so far, our building will be air conditioned. The equipment that's being installed will help with humidity, which not a big deal up here, but you know, for the most part. But it just everything keeps building on each other, trying to get museum pieces in. Our museum right now has a NASA exhibit that was brought over. It's a cockpit that the kids can climb in and do a photo op with. We've got several other things in the museum, our trucks, tractors, hot rod tractors, all of that stuff is housed inside, and basically we only have tractors and equipment outside that is built to stand up to weather. Anyway, back to the new museum. We are, hopefully within 2 months, we'll be able to start moving into the new museum. Once again, it's a 10,000 square foot building. It has full restrooms. It has, we're calling it a meeting room, but it's a kitchen. It's got a kitchen with a microwave, and it'll be a separate air conditioning space so people can come in and we don't have to heat or cool the whole museum at the time. Probably hold about 35, 40 people in this thing in a meeting configuration. In the lunch configuration, probably about the same amount. So we're close, but it's been a long journey, and we plan to have a huge grand opening. We'll be inviting every historical society in the valley to come and take a look and enjoy the museum, and hopefully get some cooperation between groups and be able to show off everybody's stuff in this museum. So, any questions or comments? Wow, did I do that good a job of explaining?
Are you open now on the weekends?
We are open right now the first and third Saturdays of the month from 10 to 2 in the afternoon. Hopefully we'll be starting packing up those soon and be able to start moving everything. And then we'll probably be working every Saturday on the museum.
Then I assume you wouldn't be open while you're moving, or?
Well, we make work days out of it, so a lot of times we'll be doing something when you come to visit, and we're there to ask questions and show you stuff.
Okay, so you plan on, okay, so first and third Saturdays from 10 to 2.
Or by appointment.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it by appointment, you could call too.
Yeah. And I have brochures up here if people would like to look at them. And I've also got what we call our guest book, but it's also our newsletter book. So if you haven't already receiving the newsletter, please come up here and sign. I'll leave the pen here and
Email, yeah, we need your email.
email address.
It's too expensive to.
Too expensive to mail stuff anymore, so.
I
Yes.
just know that when you first start putting displays in there, it was so fun. We were roaming around the fair and you go in and we started seeing some of the displays, the Queen display, and then of course the Real Olympics displays. It seems like a lot of the things that are kind of getting forgotten are being
Well, there's a
memorialized.
really
It's
nice
great.
display for Sergeant Owen that died.
Oh.
And we have a huge military section, thanks to Dale DeBry.
Yeah.
And Ermy that did
Oh,
the,
the Army.
that his family gave us stuff, so we have a display for him. And then military men and women that have died in our valley, there's commemoration displays. So the military part's grown quite a bit too.
And we've done a couple of, California had a roving wall of all the people that were from California, and they had pictures of them, and we've done that twice now.
They've had an open house where the families can come in and people from the community to honor the lives that we've lost.
So that was pretty cool. You could feel the emotion in the room when we opened that up. It was really, really neat. So, yes.
Does your museum sign up members?
Yes. Our brochure has,
I'll hand them out.
thank you. And our dues are a whopping $20 a year. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it would be neat if we could get a field trip
Okay.
sometime. What's that? We could get a field trip. What does everybody think? I think we should have.
I think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, because it's wonderful. I've been there before, but don't you think a field trip would be something?
Yes, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Take your schedule once, you just let me know, I can open it up.
We're pretty flexible. We're pretty flexible on time, so Saturdays work great, but if you want to come in on another day, that's fine too.
And sometimes when people come that already know the history of the valley, they'll see one of our displays, might have something to add or correct, or, and we're open to that too.
Well, that's like the old man here, the Diamond Rio. He remembers that truck sitting out there at that ranch. He and Forrest went over there to try
Yeah.
to buy the ranch.
So
He
sometimes it helps
He
us.
remembers that truck being
Have
over
you
there.
come.
And the stories we get to hear
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
especially at the Poppy Festival, there was a lot of people that came in there and had stories to tell, and it was really interesting listening to a lot of those stories.
And I think it was the first time that percent of people that normally go to the Poppy Festival, it wasn't normally at the fairgrounds, had never seen our museum, and they were just amazed that it was even there.
Yep.
So they enjoyed it. They stayed for a long time.
It's good for you all, yeah.
Well, it's good to know that it's the history of the valley's
Right,
there.
I agree. know that Siobhan had, instead of having a meeting here, maybe trying to do something at the Rural Museum. But of course, since she's not here, I don't know if we could work something out. I know she was thinking about.
Yeah.
We could probably do one in the evening, especially in June. That building gets a little warm and we fire up the swamp coolers in there and you can't hear anything, so.
Yeah, but going forward, I think that is the idea
Yeah.
of the library, to use it for those kinds of things, especially for history.
Right.
So we would welcome that.
Okay.
I think Bill would say that, wouldn't you think? Because that was
Yeah.
the point of,
That was
Opening
the
up the
whole point
library.
of that individual room there, was to be able to have more meetings.
I know.
you just have to be patient with us because we're all older and we're gonna have to move it. We're gonna have to move all that stuff in.
Most of us do.
Yes.
So you talk about a library and these books, does that mean they get checked out, or how does that work?
So far, we haven't, we have books to sell. Those books that I was talking about are for sale. And we're trying to get everything that we can on the valley, but, you know.
So you can come in and sit and open what we have and look at it. Like there's some Pioneer family books. If you know a Pioneer family that wants to do their own family book, we would love that. There's things you can open and look at. Old newspaper clippings are in cases, so you can go through newspapers. So there's things you can do while you're there, but we're not checking anything out right now.
What do you think?
We're gathering
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
Well, that would be, Dale would probably be a good person to talk to, or, yeah, it's all work in progress, because like G said, we were in a smaller tiny building to a smaller building, now we're gonna have our own building, so we're gonna be growing.
And we already have plans for another 6,000 square feet addition.
Phase 2, yeah.
you know, Phase 2, so. But that's, I don't know if that'll be in my lifetime or not.
Well, they're gonna build a huge new convention building there also, right in
Yeah.
front of it.
Which we hope to be able to display some things in there too.
Yeah.
2018, so
Well,
Gee,
Yes.
When you say Antelope Valley, what region or what area do you really,
The way I look at it, Antelope
Compass.
Valley, and the way we've looked at Antelope Valley is Tehachapi, Kern, Mojave, Randsburg, we have some stuff from Randsburg, out to covering Little Rock, Acton, what we all consider to
The
be,
Indian Museum, yeah.
Yeah, the Indian Museum, all of that area out there. From basically the county line that way to Ventura County that way, where where we're close to. So, Edwards Air Force Base, everything.
we really, I think you all would really enjoy it. It's fabulous. We really need to try to work on that, and I'll talk to Siobhan and she can get together with you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, any other comments? Well, thank you so much.
All right, I'll leave this up here for you.
Okay.
Are you taking payments tonight? If we want to give,
If you want to, yeah, I can take them for Bill. Thank you all so much. I mean, it's a bit of a journey, but I'll, we've tried, or have been trying to get someplace to have a little museum, because right now I have stuff in my barn that no one can see except me. And that's not where we want to have material. Anyway, moving on, Ray, I think Siobhan called you to be in charge of installing officers, and I have to say, some of our board members are not here. Do you want me to read off who our officers are and board members?
I can do it.
You can do it? Well, okay. All right, so Ray, in lieu of Siobhan.
I don't need that.
Okay.
All those years teaching, teaching shop classes, I made myself heard over machines all the time. So if you can hear, if you can't hear, holler, but if I can have the officers come up here, as I call a
And the
name.
board, and we
We also have board members too.
On the board and everything else. Siobhan's not here, she's a member at large. Kelly. Kelly's the treasurer,
Yes, I
all right? And Terry's not here, he's another member at large, couldn't be here tonight. But we have something special for you. Janet, can you come up?
I think so.
Janet's in charge of the newsletters and taking care of notes and everything. And Dolores is the vice president. And, oh, here, I'll give these to you. The reason you have these stars is, and Joe's not here, so he's a member at large. So we'll give them to them when they show up for the next meeting. And Dolores, here's your star. Now these are all stars of the Historical Society, so they get their own star, like in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They've got their own star. Now, I don't have one for Gretchen here, but I do have something for Gretchen. She doesn't get a star.
What?
Gretchen and Mac do a lot of interviewing people of history of the Roseman area, things they do, and some of the interviews I've learned a lot about the history of the area around here. I thought I knew quite a bit of it, I keep learning more. But since Gretchen does a lot of the interviewing, they decided to get her own microphone. And Matt, can you come up here too? Sure. And all these interviews that they do, they do a lot of editing and retakes and all this stuff. And Matt,
Fixing our bloopers.
Gretchen says sometimes he has to do things almost 720 some times to get it right. So he has his own cutting board to make sure that it's correct. And he works until it is perfect on the interviews. And it's interesting seeing a lot of the interviews that we have here. And if you haven't, check on the website for the interviews.
Yeah,
So
we
this is
have,
the option for this next year.
we have our own YouTube channel, and they're posted, and the link is on our website. Okay.
And it's in the newsletter too, if
It's
you
in
want to
the
cut and
newsletter
paste.
also. Did you guys get a copy of the newsletter? Because I asked Lynn to get you a copy of the newsletter. Did she do that?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay,
I didn't get it, but I think we have.
I got it.
you got it? Okay. Good. All right. Well, thank you, Ray, for standing in for Siobhan. And thank you, everyone. And-
You gotta swear in the office.
Could I,
Oh, we have to swear in the officers? Excuse me, my parliamentarian has told me I have to swear in
You
the
better start
officers.
clacking that thing.
How do we do this? Do you want to do this?
As a former judge, I think I can handle this. Everybody raise their right hand. Repeat after me. I promise. State your name.
I promise,
State your name.
Janet Winter,
To do the things that I'm supposed to do. Done.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. We still have snacks. We have time if you want to just visit. I know some of you who have been here forever. I know who want to visit with George here.
could I get you, when you're completely through, I want you to even use my phone and get a picture so I can share with Siobhan.
Oh, very
With
good.
our
Okay.
Hollywood Walk of Fame and stuff. Yeah, that'd be fine.
All right, so we're done. Thank you for coming. We will see what we can put together for June. We're working on that.
Thank you.
This is too cute.
I think he wanted